Good morning, everybody. It is 7:58 a.m., 24 November 2017. Second video of the day. I know, you're welcome. It's incredible. It is Black Friday. I just earlier did a Black Friday video, so you might want to check that out. You might not. Don't know, don't care. I listened to several podcasts. One of which is the Suburban Survivalist podcast, or something to that effect. It's put out by a couple in Dallas, a Christian couple, who sound like really nice people. Honestly, really, really nice people. And I was listening to an episode called Firepower. And to give you a brief synopsis of that, about 28 minutes of the two of them, I'll call it what it is, being apologists for firearms and debating the merits of being a peaceful Christian versus having and carrying firearms. Now, I am a Christian. I believe in the divinity of Christ, and I try and live my life as best that I can, being the broken heathen that I am, as best that I can in a Christ-like way. I believe that to be a Christian means to try and live your life in as much a Christ-like way as possible, with love and compassion and honor and integrity and truth. So, in the spirit of truth, I'm going to tell you that I do not believe that being a peaceful Christian in the end times is the best policy. I do not believe we are in the end times right now, but I think that is where we're headed. Christian, non-Christian, Jew, Buddhist, Muslim, heed my words. You will have to be able to perform violence at some point. When somebody, say your opponent, whether you're locked in war, whether it's wartime or it's a mugging, a robbery, whatever, when somebody else determines that they are going to apply deadly force to the situation, the only response that you have is to also apply deadly force, hopefully faster and with more accuracy than they have. Okay? There is no other place to go once your opponent commits to deadly force. So at that point, you're relying on your ability to apply deadly force better than they can. I'm a huge advocate of carrying a weapon on your belt. I'm a huge advocate of having weapons in your house. And I feel that you should have weapons in your vehicle as well. However, that's just me. If you can only afford one gun, or if you're only comfortable with one gun, get one gun, get a good holster for it, carry it on your hip. When you're in your vehicle, it's with you, and when you go home, it's with you at your house. But take it with you. Have it on you, so that when some scumbag decides that you're a victim and that they are going to apply deadly force or the threat of deadly force to whatever situation that you're in, you have a way to respond. So, that being said, as far as a peaceful Christianity is concerned, the Old Testament is filled with stories of the Jews and Jewish people slaughtering their enemies in the name of God. And more power to them. Here's a conundrum. You ever think about this? Two armies line up on a battlefield across a field from each other. One army's guardian angels is the other army's demons, and vice versa. Think about that. Yeah, that's just a perspective thing up here. But the Old Testament is filled with the Jews waging war against one another, right? And then you can make the argument that all that was bought and paid for with the blood of Christ on the cross, and we've moved past that. I agree. However, Christ himself said, if you don't have a sword, go sell your cloak and buy one. And I would submit that, in Pastor Joe Fox's words, are today's swords. Okay? I agree with Pastor Joe Fox on that. The pistol is today's sword. The rifle is today's sword. Now, if heretofore your firearms experience consists of a pellet gun in the backyard when you were 6, I don't expect you to go buy a copy of Soldier of Fortune magazine and drop $5,000 on Molly gear and combat boots and a sweet rifle. But you should know how to apply deadly force with your bare hands, with a knife, with a firearm. That's just me. Because I thoroughly believe we are approaching a time when this thin veneer of civility that we call society is going to crack. It's Black Friday, right? Look at what people will do to each other over a flat screen TV. Now, imagine they haven't eaten in 3 days. It's going to be a nightmare. It is going to be a nightmare. I don't want to have to hurt anybody. Nobody. That is not my intention. However, when somebody makes the decision that they are going to bring deadly force to the equation, I need to have the ability to respond. And that's what having firearms allows me to do. Okay? Now, obviously, if you can avoid the situation, avoid the situation. You know, if you can squirt out to the side and completely avoid the problem, then by all means do it. But what if you can't? So there's got to be 100,000 videos on YouTube of to what weapons, what are the best survivalist weapons, the best prepper weapons, best handguns for an SHTF scenario, best rifle for Teotihuacan, blah, 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 blah. I don't know, guys. I think a 12-gauge shotgun, a rifle that chambers 5.56 by 45 millimeter / 223 Remington, a pistol that chambers 9 by 19 millimeter, 9 millimeter handgun. You've got, that's the vast majority of firearms. Pistols chamber 9 millimeter, rifles chamber 5.56, and shotguns chamber 12 gauge. So all of those rounds are effective with proper shot placement, and all of those rounds will be readily available if you have to scavenge for more ammo. Behind that, I'd say a 20 gauge shotgun, a 7.62 by 39 carbine or rifle, AK round, then maybe a 40 Smith & Wesson. I carry a 45 because sometimes fat and slow is better. But, I don't think there's a perfect scenario there. A lot of people say 22 long rifle. You carry 1,000 rounds on you. Number one, why? Because you've got your mental masturbation bug out fantasy of you and all your buddies running through the woods and living off the land with your 22 rifles. Ain't gonna happen. I shot a raccoon in between the eyes with a 22 not that long ago. You know what it did? It sneezed and then scurried away. Not even joking. Yeah, I know that they have sloped foreheads and, the thickness of the skull and should have gone through the back of the head and the brain pan. Well, the shot that presented itself was straight on. Nailed it right between the eyes, and that little critter sneezed at me. So you're not going to go take down a bull moose with a 22. The arguments like that are entering into the realm of fantasy, and I would not stake my life or the lives of my loved ones on fantasy. Do I have a 22 rifle? Yep. Do I have thousands of rounds to feed it? Yep. Am I betting my life on it? Hell no. Not even kind of considering it. So, as to what weapons you outfit yourself with, that's between you and your family and God. Get what you can get. I love the AR platform. I love the AK platform. I like Glocks. I like SIGs. I like Rugers. I like, CZ makes a sweet pistol. I'm probably going to buy a Canik TP9. I mean, I'm not prejudiced. I'm not married to any one brand as long as it does what it's supposed to do. You know, and then as far as long guns go, there's also this kind of this sniper fantasy mentality that I see a lot of people have. Well, I'm going to get a rifle chambered in .308 or 6.5 Creedmoor or 7mm or 270, 30-06, whatever. And I'm just going to hang back and snipe people if they get too close. Number one, I would think long and hard, ethically and morally, about that situation. I'm not saying that there isn't a scenario that doesn't make sense. Having Overwatch and the ability to provide standoff is great. Especially, you know, you have a guy with 6.5 Creedmoor in a Overwatch position, and the ability for him to communicate with you, that's great, okay? He can see things you can't. He can reach out and touch things that you can't. And if your opponent is armed with carbines, their effective range is going to be, you know, the Army would say 500 meters, but the fact of the matter is most people can't hit the broadside of a barn at 300 meters. So if you have the ability to engage at 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 meters, now you have what's called standoff capability, and that's wonderful. But the survival prepper sniper mentality, I think there's a lot of flawed logic in there. There's a place for .308, 7.62 x 51. It's a great round. You can hunt deer with it. You can shoot all kinds of large game with it. And in the hands of a skilled shooter, you can engage targets to say 800, 1,000 meters with it. Doesn't have a lot left at 1,000 meters, but it'll get the job done. But point being, you have lots of options. You have lots of people that can discuss those options with you on YouTube and in person. But as a Christian, I think the time is coming that being passive is going away. Christ himself said, get you a sword, carry it, you're going to need it. He also said, you will be persecuted in my name. Right? Go look it up. He said it. And I don't mean North Texas materialism persecution that you really wanted the 70-inch TV, but you could only afford the 68 TV, so I feel persecuted. I mean, there are Christians in Syria getting their heads lopped off. I have said for years now that the bravest person on earth was the second Syrian Christian when they cut the first guy's head off. And I said, who else is a Christian? The second guy that raised his hand? That's nuts. That's bravery. That's persecution. When was the last time you would willingly raise your hand to get your head cut off because of your belief in Christ? That's persecution. However, something to that effect sooner or later will find us in America. It is coming. I can feel it in my gut. There are a lot of other people that feel it as well. Something is coming. And just so we're all on the same page, I don't believe in the rapture. I don't believe in pre-trib. I don't believe in post-trib. That is an entirely American opinion, theological statement that we're all going to be whisked up into the clouds to avoid the hardship. I don't see it happening. I don't see a biblical foundation for it happening. And when you talk to other people around the world, other Christians, they have no concept of it. It is entirely American. So I think we will be here when it all goes down. And the ability to provide cover fire is going to be a blessing to someone. So, my advice to you is get your head right, get your mentality squared away, get your physicality squared away, find a weapon, learn to use it. If you don't know how, there are hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people that will expend their time, their energy, and their money to help train you if you are brand new. All you need to do is ask. But I want you to seriously consider what it looks like to be a Christian and have the ability to bring violence to bear at the same time.